And in this video I'm going to titillate myself with some lemons. Right, so yeah, this is a kind of experiment and obviously my experience of me messing around with more lemons again. I've made a limoncello before. I hope you have as well. If you haven't, don't worry, but you are missing out on a really good drink. And I'll leave a link in the description below of my video of when I made some. Now, when I've looked into making limoncello, it's been said many a time not to use the pith off the lemons because you do end up with a bit of a bitter kind of end product. And these Italians, they know what they're talking about when it comes to limoncello. But do you know what? I thought to myself, I'm going to see for myself how bitter it really is. So my plan of action here is to use 5 lemons in 5 different ways. Lemon number 1, I'm going to use a vegetable peeler to remove as much of the zest as I can, and this is the kind of process I would do when I'm normally making a limoncello. Lemon number 2, I'm going to use the zest and all of the pith, but none of the juice. So I just squeeze as much of the juice as possible out of it, and then just coarsely slice up the remainder of the lemon. Lemon number 3, I'll be using all of it. So that's the zest, the pith and the juice. I'll just put the juice back to one side just for a minute, but the rest of the lemon I'll do the same again and just coarsely slice it up. Lemon number 4, I'm going to use the zest and also the juice. So I'm going to use the same process as number 1 with the vegetable peeler to remove the zest. And again, I'll just put the juice back out the way for the minute. And finally, lemon number 5, I'm just going to be using the juice. And now I'm adding in equal measures of the lemon juice into the last 3 jars. Okay, so now it's time to add in the alcohol. And I've got 70 millilitres of 90% ABV neutral spirit going into each of these jars. And as the last 3 jars have 50 millilitres of lemon juice in them, this will dilute the alcohol down to around 54% ABV. But we'll come to that when I add in the syrup. So this is a week later and I've popped the lids open on the jars and this is what they look like now. I think my next job is to get a piece of cotton muslin and individually run these through it just to filter out all the bits and pieces of the lemon. And there we go, that was nice and easy. And the next job I've got to do is to back sweeten these with a simple syrup. So I'm using 50 grams of sugar in each of these with the appropriate amount of water. Because I need around 140 ml of syrup in the first 2 jars, but only 80 ml of syrup in the last 3 jars because they obviously have the lemon juice already in them. And once I make the syrup up, I'll leave it to cool down and then we'll add them into the jars and hopefully each one should work out to be 200 ml at 30% ABV. And I just had to show you the magic of adding the syrup in and watching it change colour. And there we go, there's the 5 jars. I will pop the lids back on these and leave them to settle down and marry the flavours for a couple more days. And then I'll be back to see exactly what these taste like. And here we are, the 5 lemons, 5 different ways, all ready for a good tasting. Yes. A very quick recap first though. In this one, I used just the zest. In this one, I used the zest and the pith. In this one, I used the whole lemon. In this one here, I used the zest and the juice. And in this one, I used just the juice. And for those of you out there that have noticed the 2 additions to the family, well, this one here, boink, used just the zest, which is technically exactly the same as this one, only I macerated this one for a good 2 weeks in the high proof ABV solution, as opposed to this one that was macerated with just 1 week. Sometimes I do joke in my videos about my appalling lack of intelligence. Well, this is proof here. Unfortunately, I went through this entire process and messed it right up, big style. So what I did in the end was took all of these and amalgamated them all into one bottle basically, and that's the end result. So this one is all of the 5 experiments in one glass. Same thing again though, that is still at 30% ABV. Okay, on to the tasting. Now, I won't go through these individually with you right now. I will take my time because this, even for a sip, it's going to be a bit of a marathon. And then I'll be back to give a very short summary.
Things are going quite well at the moment, you know. I don't think it's affecting me at all.
Yes, thank you, officer, thank you. Yeah, it won't happen again. Thank you. What can I say? The biggest drawback to this kind of experiment is this slab of meat here and how I interpret what I'm experiencing. Number 1, the zest. Whew, lovely, as you'd expect. Couldn't tell much of a difference between the other zesty one that had been macerated for longer. Okay, so they both had some slight difference in characters, but to be honest, it's what you would expect from a limoncello. Number 2, with all the pith in it. Now, weirdly enough, it's not that bad. I am not a fussy person by any stretch of the imagination, but that was okay. I don't know. Number 3, with the whole lemon inside of it, was actually quite sharp. Not as bad, nowhere near as bad as what I was expecting, but it was drinkable. Number 4 was the zest and the juice. Very surprising, that one. It tasted just like real lemonade basically. A lovely surprise, to be honest, that one was. Quite happy with that one. Number 5, just the juice. Now you would expect that to be a bit but actually it was pleasant enough. Yeah, it was very sharp, don't get me wrong, but it was pleasant. It was pleasant enough to drink. That's blown me away slightly, just the juice. And this one here, just the zest, macerated for 2 weeks against the 1 week maceration, I couldn't really tell them apart. And number 7, which was the amalgamation of all the other 5, yeah, it was all right. It was okay. Again, I'm not that fussy. Yeah, the zesty one is still the winner no matter what when you drink through them. But to my palate, and I quite like funky flavours, the ones with the juice in them, I'd be more than happy to make that again. But that one there, number 2, which is what the basic premise was about, not using the pith, to myself, I'm sat on the fence. I'm here and all there with it, to be honest. It was okay, and I can drink it. It tastes okay. I think next time when I make stuff, I'm not going to be that fussy about the pith, and obviously entertaining some of the juice into it as well. There we go. And on that, thanks very much for watching. Lemoncello burp. Oh, that's good. Make sure you keep on shining.